Welcome back, guys. I hope you're having a beautiful day today. It's gonna be an absolute adventure and I hope you're ready for this. I've got 15 stories to read today and it's gonna be so wild. Before we get into the episode, if you could like the video and subscribe if you want to, that would be amazing. And let's get straight into it. Story number 1. Am I the a-hole for leaving my husband and stepdaughter stranded on Christmas when I found out that he gave her my big Christmas gift? My husband, M41 male, is the worst at gift giving. We've been together for over 3 years and after the first year of not receiving anything for my birthday, anniversary, Christmas, Valentine's, Mother's Day, that was all the last straw after being told that I wasn't his mother. I decided to start matching the energy. Father's Day came and I was gone all day, when normally I would have put together a big lunch and a big dinner and drive 40 minutes to go get his daughter A, now 16, so they could spend the day together. He called me in the afternoon and I was polite but not initiating conversation. He asked me when I was picking up his daughter and I replied that I had plans and I wasn't aware that I was supposed to pick her up since nothing was communicated to me. When he responded with, "It's Father's Day," I used his response back, "You are not my father." I had anticipated him getting upset and I knew a constructive conversation would not be had, so when he started to raise his voice, I told him check the table and I hung up. I'd left a letter to him communicating how much I was hurt about going out of my way for him and not to have any sort of reciprocation. He called me later and said that he would try to be better and he would work on it. I ended up going to get his daughter during the week so they could enjoy a dinner together. Background information, he drives big rig truck, so the vehicle that we use for everyday travel is mine. He's been better about the gifts. It's more of go pick something out and I'll pay for it, which I really don't mind. He does the same thing with his daughter. I do all the shopping for his family gifts when it comes to birthdays and holidays. Cut to a week before Christmas and I wake up to my favorite coffee drink and my husband taking me out to eat for breakfast, followed by a trip to the mall to pick out my Christmas gift. I rarely splurge on myself when it comes to purses and clothes. I have a preteen son from my first marriage, so I tend to be more practical on myself and spend on him for his birthday and Christmas. My stepdaughter, however, is very materialistic and always is asking for money or something expensive, and between her father and his family and her mother and her family and her stepfather, she always gets it. I'd been repeatedly saying out loud that I needed a new purse since mine was hanging on by a thread, and I decided to invest in a good designer handbag. I started saving money and looking online for my new dream purse, so imagine my surprise and excitement when we go to the department store and I see that they have my dream purse in stock. My husband sort of gave me a look when he saw the price and I told him that I could contribute, and I explained how I'd been saving so I could save enough to get this purse that I'd been dreaming about for months. He shook his head and said that I deserved it and he would get it for me. But he also gave me the expectation that since he was getting me this, he really couldn't afford to get me anything else. I screamed with delight and I told him that was okay. I didn't need anything else. With that taken care of, my husband asked me if it was okay to get his daughter and take her Christmas shopping. I had tons of stuff to do at home in preparation for the holiday, so this worked out. I could have the house empty to get what I needed done. I was reaching to get my new purse when we arrived home and he said for me to leave it because he had another gift that he'd previously purchased for me that he's going to put inside the purse for me to open on Christmas. I was on cloud 9, so I kissed him and I left my bag and I went inside. I was still busy cleaning and decorating when he got home later that night, and the rest of the days before Christmas were all a blur with me trying to get my house ready for the holiday. I hosted Christmas Eve at my house with my family, and Christmas Day I slept in tired from the night before, and I woke up with enough time to brush my teeth before we headed out to get his daughter and then drive to spend the day at his mother's house. I fell asleep on the drive and I woke up after his daughter was picked up and we were already on the way to his mum's. I turned around to greet his daughter and that's when I saw her rummaging and holding my new purse. "Where did you get that purse?" I asked her, and the car fell completely silent. I looked at my husband and he stayed silent with both hands on the wheel looking straight ahead. I asked her again, this time in a louder, more stern tone. She looked down and quietly mumbled, "My dad gave it to me." "You what?" I screamed. "How would you think it was okay to give her my new purse?" He told me to calm down and I cut him off and I screamed no. And then I turned back to his daughter and I told her that her father had no right to give her my purse and that she needed to give it back, which she refused to. I could feel my anger raging, then subsiding to a feeling of sadness and complete defeat. I put my coat over my head and I leaned against the window trying to cover my face and mouth as tears started running down my cheeks. My husband pulled over at the next gas station and his daughter bolted out taking the purse with her. He tried to comfort me, to which I slapped his hand away and I told him not to touch me, and I gave him a look of disgust. He informed me that after he dropped me off that day, he picked up his daughter and took her shopping, and on the way taking her home, she noticed the bag and saw the purse. She begged and pleaded with him to please let her have it. She reminded him about all the times that he never got her a gift and how giving her this purse would make up for it, and that played on his heart, and he finally caved and gave her my purse. He tried to say that he was going to make it up to me, and I asked him how, knowing that it was impossible. He already spent his money and made it clear that he wasn't going to have any money to buy me anything else. I couldn't help but get upset as I tried to get him to understand how hurt I felt, and how it's not like she was suffering with her getting to open presents from her mother and stepfather, plus all the presents from from their family, along with the ones that she was going to get from his family, and that he already spent money on her for Christmas presents, and that was my only gift. I know Christmas isn't about getting presents, but I was extremely upset that my husband could be so thoughtless and not even consider the amount of pain this was going to cause me. His phone then rang, and it was his daughter calling from inside, asking him to come inside because she needed money to buy something. As he walked into the store, I looked back and tears began to fill my eyes as I saw all the gifts that I picked out for his family with care. Something came over me and I stopped crying. I got out and I got in the driver's seat and I wiped my face and I peeled out of the gas station parking lot, leaving my husband and his stepdaughter behind. I turned my phone off and I drove back to town and I spent the day with my family at my cousin's house, and then I stayed with them, not returning any of my husband's phone calls and not returning home until late the following day. The only phone call I did return was one from my stepdaughter's mother to set her straight after she left me a hateful message about leaving her daughter stranded because I was jealous that her father bought her a new purse. I told her that she'd been told a lie and I informed her of the truth, that in fact her father did not buy her a new purse, he bought me a new purse, and she played on her father's emotions after he'd already bought her expensive stuff for Christmas to guilt him into giving her my purse. She apologized and tried to come up with a solution, to which I replied for her not to bother. The damage has already been done. I found out through my sister-in-law that my husband's brother went to go get them, and the story came out later that evening. His mother is on his side, while his brother and sister-in-law and other aunts and uncles sided with me and got onto his daughter. I have not spoken to his daughter since Christmas, and things are unsettling at home. I've become more distant from my husband, and when I make dinner, I don't even serve him a plate. I serve only my son and myself, and I only engage in conversation with my son. He's tried reaching for me at night when we're in bed, and I always end up crying. I'm not angry or mad, I feel nothingness. He's back on the road, and I do miss him, but I can't shake the feeling of how he let me down, and I can't hide my looks of disappointment. I'm looking to see what others have to say about the situation. Oh, that one was so sad. The top comment says, not the a-hole, but why are you in this marriage? You don't even matter to your husband, period. The comment below that says, exactly, you deserve respect and consideration. His actions go beyond the purse. It's about how he treats you. The second top comment says, lol, why are you married to this jackass? The comment below that one says, the way that he continually ignored you on all major events and milestones, and then gave away your first actual gift that you had to choose and partially pay for, is appalling. Not the a-hole. Does he even want a wife? He doesn't sound like he cares about you at all. The one above that one says, take your son and go back to your family. Yes, it will be hard, but it won't be as hard as staying in a relationship where you don't matter. Your husband slapped you in the face on Christmas. What did he think was going to happen when you arrived at your destination and the presents were given out and there was nothing for you? Don't get over it, get over him. The comment below that one says, imagine begging for scraps from this useless dude. You had to beg for him to acknowledge you, to do the bare minimum and get you a gift that he readily gave to his daughter. Did he end up getting you anything after? Probably not. In 2025, I hope you find the dignity to stop begging for your husband to give a Yeah, how terrible. And all the daughter had to say was, I want this, and he just gave it to her. To the daughter who, like OP said, is gonna have a whole bunch of other Christmas presents. But yeah, like all the comments are saying, it's not just about this one incident. It's about all the other times that he hasn't done anything for you. Oh, that one's so sad. Good luck, OP. Moving on to post number 2. This one is an update to a post that we read in the last episode, and I will play the original post so that it does make a little bit more sense, just in case you didn't see the original post. So yeah, once again, you can skip ahead to the update if you want to, guys. Am I the a-hole for not giving my girlfriend my social security number so she can run a background check on me? I, 27 male, have been in a relationship with my girlfriend, 31 female, for almost a year now. This evening, she sat me down and said that she needs to have a serious conversation with me, and she asked me for my social security number. I said, absolutely not. Why would you need that? And she told me about her ex-boyfriend that was basically living a double life. He had a bunch of criminal charges in his past that he'd never told her about, and eventually exposed her to some sketchy and dangerous behavior before she broke things off after he cheated. I said, okay, thank you for telling me that, but what does that have to do with my social security number? She said ever since then, she's had her friend that works for the federal government run background checks on people to make sure that they're safe. And because our relationship is progressing, she needs to know that I'm a safe partner for her. So she wants my social security number to check on my criminal history. Now, for the record, I don't even have a parking ticket. I'm a nerd and a gym rat. All I do is work, go to school, play Dungeons and Dragons, come home, watch anime, rinse and repeat. So I don't care about a background check, she won't find anything. But I'm not giving out my social security number. I don't feel comfortable enough providing that to her friend. When I said that, she got upset and said that I don't understand what women go through and it's about safety. And I admitted that she's right. I have no idea what women go through. But that doesn't mean that I'm giving my social security number out to a complete stranger. She says that he isn't a stranger, he's one of her best friends and married to a close friend of hers. And I said, honey, that's great, but I don't know him. I don't trust him because I don't don't know him. That's my information you're asking for. You can trust him with your personal information if you want to, but nobody that I don't know is getting my social security number or critical details. It's just not happening. And then she said that our relationship isn't going to be able to progress unless I give him my social security number because she needs to know that she's safe. And also she's offended that I don't trust her taste in friends. I got up and I left at that point, and I told her I respect her concerns, but her past trauma doesn't give her the right to try and strong arm me into giving out sensitive information to somebody that I don't even know, just because he works for the federal government and has access to a database. I used to work for the federal government, so I can say from experience, everybody working there isn't some wonderful person. I'm not assuming that he's a monster or anything, but just working for the feds doesn't prove anything to me. She then called me insensitive and hasn't spoken to me since. Personally, I feel like she was gaslighting me into giving her what she wants, but I'm not sure. The top comment says, not the a-hole. I am a federal employee who does have access to some systems like that in order to locate people, and it's 100% against the law to use them for personal reasons. In fact, we have to try all other reasonable ways to find somebody before using these systems. There's something really sketchy there. Also, you don't even need a social security number to do a background check. A name and address or birth date are enough. This comment says, not the a-hole. I just had a background check completed. I've had them every 5-ish years for the last 20 years because I volunteer with children, some in-state and some federal. I also have been screened by the government for a permit several times. I have never had to provide a social security number. Sadly, I think your girlfriend may be the criminal, and you may be her long con mark. Update, am I the a-hole for not giving my girlfriend my social security number so that she can run a background check on me? After reading the comments that I've been getting over the last few days, I decided to call her on New Year's Eve and give things one last chance because I'm the type of person that needs to know that I did everything I could before I walk away from a relationship. And some people said that she has valid concerns, that she only went about them the wrong way, which did make sense. I told her I understand and respect your need to ensure your safety, but I'm not willing to potentially compromise my safety to make you feel safe by handing over my social security number to somebody that I don't even know and I don't trust. And also, it's illegal for him to even use a federal database for personal reasons, so that's out. But what I will do is pay for a background check of your choosing, so long as it's a legitimate service, and I'll give you the results. I will not be providing my social security number to anybody, but my address and date of birth, etc. are all fair game. She refused and said that she has chosen a background check, and that's having her friend do it, because she knows that she can trust him. So I said, if that's how you feel and you won't budge, then the issue here is trust. And I'm not willing to stay in a relationship with a woman that doesn't trust me because of some that doesn't have anything to do with me. I'm not paying for another man's sins, and I'm not giving you my social security number because your ex was a criminal. She started crying and asking why I can't understand that it's not about me, it's about her. And I said, you made it about me when you asked me for my social security number. She got pissed off and started accusing me of lying about caring about her safety and saying that if I really cared, then I'd have no problem doing this because I don't understand how vulnerable women are in society. So I said I was willing to work with you up to a reasonable point, but now you're just trying to manipulate me, and I don't feel safe being with you anymore, because if this is how you react when you don't get your way about having my social security number, what happens the next time that we have a major disagreement or a serious situation comes up? Are you gonna keep on crying to try and get your way, or throw out another ultimatum to try and force me into doing what you want? She started saying that as a man I can't understand what it's like to go through life as a woman and have to be afraid, and that this is what she has to do for her safety and security, and I need to respect that and give her what she needs for her comfort. I was like, I tried to compromise, you wouldn't accept it. There's nothing more to say here. And to be clear, I wasn't exactly calm. I have severe anxiety, so this was a really hard conversation for me to have. I was actively pacing around my house and sweating and forcing words out the entire time. Then she started crying and asking about New Year's because we were supposed to spend it with her parents. I said, you should have thought about that before you tried to strong arm me into getting your way. This is not an everybody stood up and applauded moment. That's just how things went. I hung up and now we're over. Obviously I'm hurt, but I'm realizing that I dodged a bullet because there's no reason should have got this messy. And before anybody tries to jump me in the comments again, I offered to pay for the check. She refused because it wasn't the test that she wanted. I feel like I made a good faith effort to resolve stuff. I hate to ring in the new year without a kiss under the mistletoe, but it is what it is. I don't know that she really is that concerned I'm some lunatic criminal, or if she's trying to scam me like a lot of you said. Either way, it's over now. Yeah, good for you for standing up for yourself, OP. This story was so fishy from the very start, and it still is in this update. She wanted to get a background check done on you, OP, but she desperately wanted your social security number, which you don't even need to do a background check. And then when you said to her, I will literally pay for a background check, but you're not getting my social security number, yeah, she wouldn't back down because she wants that number. And why does she want that number? She doesn't need it. The top comment says, as a woman, I don't understand her need for the social security number. Good riddance and happy new year. The comment below that says, exactly, there's no good reason for her to have it. Her insistence is so odd. He even offered to use a background check service and give her the report. The fact that she only wanted it so that her friend could misuse his access to federal databases is so shady. Good riddance to her, OP. You're better off without her. This comment says she didn't want your social security number for a background check. She probably wanted to commit financial fraud. Yeah, very shady from the beginning. Moving on to story number 3. I'm sure it's going to be an adventure. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad's parents that I don't want them at my graduation when they said that I wasn't their real grandson? In November, my 18-year-old dad's parents and my mum got into an argument because they mentioned they said they decided to start a college fund for my brother, 11 male. It wasn't even brought up. They just decided to share it on their own. My mum was confused since they mentioned it out of the blue, but thanked them. She asked them why they decided to make one now and why they brought it up. They said something about wanting to do it for their grandson and making sure that he's set so he doesn't have to worry about paying for college. My mum then asked if they'd started one for me, and they said that I wasn't their real grandson. So the answer was no, and they didn't have one for me. They added something about how I'd get something else, and they accused my mum of expecting too much. For context, my dad adopted me when I was 5. He started dating my mum when I was 2. I don't know my biological father personally, but I do know of him. He died when I was 3, and my mum told me that he wasn't a good person and was in and out of jail. My dad's the only dad that I've ever known, and I always thought his parents accepted me. But hearing them pretty much say that I wasn't their real grandson really hurt. It wasn't even about the money. It was the fact that I was excluded, and realizing that the only reason why was because I wasn't my dad's biological son. The argument happened right in front of me and my brother, just a few days before Thanksgiving. Since then, I have viewed my dad's parents pretty differently, and I've tried to keep my distance. They eventually apologized for saying that I wasn't their real grandson, but only because my dad basically forced them to. Over time, I realized I didn't really care anymore, but I just loved them more than they loved me. School's almost back in, and I take senior pictures soon. My dad's parents were over for Christmas, and my parents brought up me taking pictures. That led to my dad's parents talking about how excited they were to see me graduate and how they couldn't wait. This confused me. It honestly did, because a month ago they basically told me that I wasn't their real grandson, and now they're excited to see their grandson graduate. I told them that they weren't coming, and I didn't want them there. Of course, this shocked my parents and my dad's parents. They asked me why, and I told them I remember them saying that I wasn't their real grandson. So it doesn't make sense for them to want to come to my graduation when they have no ties to me. My dad looked upset, and his parents were too. His parents basically said that I should move on since they already apologized and they meant no harm. I told them that when they apologized, it was only because my dad told them to. And then after that, it got awkward. This happened during Christmas, and I haven't seen them since. My dad told me they're hurt by what I said and that I should apologize and let them know that I didn't mean it and that I'd still like them to come. I told him I did mean what I said and that I don't want them there. It's not like I can stop them from coming anyway, but I'd prefer if they didn't since they've got no reason to be there. He says their feelings are hurt. It's embarrassing to think they've been my grandparents my whole life, only to find out they didn't even think of me as their grandson. My mum says she agrees with me, but she thinks I should consider my dad's feelings since this put him in a hard position and wants everybody to be a family. I'm not trying to hurt my dad, but I don't want his parents at my graduation when I found out that they didn't accept me. The top comment says, not the a-hole. The fact that they said that, never mind in front of you, is outrageous. There are consequences for actions and words, and they're upset that they have to face them. Yeah, and the comment below that one too. And the fact that everybody is worried about your dad's feelings and his parents' feelings, but are completely ignoring your feelings. That is so telling. Yeah, the dad saying that you hurt my parents' feelings. Like, what about how OP feels? The second top comment says, not the a-hole. Your feelings are hurt, and your feelings are just as valid. Once you say something like that, you can't take it back, no matter how much you wish that you could. OP responded, thank you. I was starting to believe I was the one in the wrong seeing how much this is making my dad upset. But what really stung was that they said all of that stuff right in front of me, and they didn't even bother to say sorry until the next day, and only because my dad made them. I don't think they would have if my dad didn't tell them to. Right now, it feels like my mum's the only one who really understands where I'm coming from, and my dad's only trying to play mediator. The comment below that one says, I can't see a flaw in your logic. They hurt you in front of you, and what they said can't be unsaid. I don't even begin to know how they erased that, or you even healing from that. Tell your dad they hurt you deeply, and one doesn't just get over that with an I'm sorry. That changes nothing. Not the a-hole. Moving on to post number 4. This one's also an update to a story that we read in the last episode, and a bit of a warning before we read the post. There is one mention of domestic violence in this, so yeah, feel free to skip this one if you want to. The chapters are down below, and I will play the original post again really fast. So yeah, once again, you can skip ahead to the update if you want to. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister's boyfriend it's not his business if I don't want to be a stay-at-home mum? So I, female 22, have an older sister, female 28, and she has 4 kids. kids. And she loves to be a mum and wants to be a stay-at-home mum. And I encourage her to do whatever she wants to. She herself understands that I have no desire to be a mum right now, if not ever. I have 2 other older sisters who are like me who don't want to be a stay-at-home mum. This is important in the story. Her boyfriend is mad at me, male 27, because he asked me when I'm going to settle down and that he can introduce me to his friend, male 25, who wants a stay-at-home wife. Wow, okay. I told him no, that I don't want to date anyone this year. And then he got mad at me for some reason and asked me why so. I told him that my ex-boyfriend left me with trust issues. My ex cheated on me for 6 months into a 3-year relationship. He told me that we broke up in 2023 and I should start getting back out there. And I told him that it's not his business and he dropped it. But 2 days ago, he asked if I wanted to be a stay-at-home wife and mother. And I told him no, that I don't want that. And I'm not even sure if I want kids, let alone to be married. He got defensive since his mum was a stay-at-home wife and mum. None of this is this guy's business. And I told him that I don't see anything wrong with being a stay-at-home mum, but that I don't personally want to depend on a man for anything. And he once again got defensive and said that not all men are the same. I told him that he was correct, but again, not all women want the same thing. He said my sister wants to be a stay-at-home wife and mum, and I told him congratulations on finding that with my sister, but that I once again don't want to be a stay-at-home mum. He got mad because he overheard my conversation about me getting an IUD and told me that I'm ruining God's plan to make me a mum one day, and I told him whether I want kids or not is not his business. Yeah, none of this is his business. He got mad at me and then told me to get out of his home, so I did. My older sister is asking me to apologize to him and to not get an IUD since if I get pregnant that it's God's plan. And she also told me that I should reconsider being a stay-at-home mum and wife. I told her not everybody has that dream. And then she accused me of not respecting stay-at-home mothers and wives, which is nothing but lies. Yeah, just because you don't want to do it doesn't mean that you don't respect people who do want to. My 2 other older sisters are on my side and said that my sister's boyfriend should not be concerned with how I live my life. Yeah, 100%. And that if I don't want to depend on anybody for the rest of my life, that's my choice. He also said that I'm going to hell for being bisexual. So I screamed that I guess his girlfriend, my sister, is also going to go to hell because she's bisexual herself, which he already knows about. Now their friends are calling me an a-hole, saying that he only cares about what I do with my body since it's God's body and I should respect it and become a mum soon. I'm really trying not to laugh. Are you joking? That is so ridiculous. So am I the a-hole for telling my sister's boyfriend that it's not his business if I don't want to be a stay-at-home mum or wife? Of course you're not the a-hole, OP. That's ridiculous. I want to read that last bit again really fast. Now their friends are calling me an a-hole, saying that he only cares about what I do with my body since it's God's body and I should respect it and become a mum soon. Are you freaking kidding me? That's one of the most bizarre sentences that I've read in a long time. Edit to clarify, I did put this in some comments, but 3 out of her 4 kids aren't even his. My sister has a 7, 4, and 3, and soon to be newborn. Edit number 2, I get asked this question a lot about why I was discussing getting an IUD to my sister's boyfriend. I wasn't even discussing it to him. Me and my 3 sisters were all discussing it at his house, but he wasn't even there. He walked in though when I said that I was thinking of getting an IUD, and that's when he butted into the conversation. Yeah, that sounds about right. And as soon as he said God's body, not my body, me and my other 2 sisters started talking to him about it, and he raised his voice, so I raised my voice, and then we eventually left since I don't like conflict at all. It's God's body, not your body. Yeah, like the top comment says, this guy sounds like a creep. Who is he to dictate what you do with your life, or your career, and your body? I hope your sister knows about this and supports you, not the a-hole. Update, am I the a-hole for telling my sister's boyfriend it's not his business if I don't want to be a stay-at-home mum? So this is the update. I already knew that I was going to go no contact with her boyfriend, as I don't feel safe around him, but I went ahead and I called my sister to tell her why, and why I chose no contact with him, and she's now super mad at me saying that I overreacted and all that fun stuff. So I asked her if they were going to apologize, and she said that they don't owe me an apology, and I owe him an apology. He overheard us on the phone and once again got into the conversation, and I told him I have nothing to say to him. He told me that he wanted to know an answer to 2 of his questions. Number 1, why I don't want to be a stay-at-home mum. Once again, I told him it's none of his business and to stay in his lane. Number 2, why I don't want to date or marry his friend. I told him that he isn't my type and never will be, and to not talk to me again. He told me that if I don't stop overreacting, I won't have anything to do with my nephews and niece. And not gonna lie, that got to me. And I told him for my mental health, I'm done talking to him. And my sister said, okay, you made your choice and we'll make ours. So now I'm no contact with both of them. Also found out that my dad found out yesterday, and this morning after I was on the phone with them, he went and yelled at Josh and told him to back off, and that his daughter wasn't for sale or anything like that. And they got into a fist fight, and apparently my dad won. I'm not totally sure about that though. hello, and my dad called me and apologized and asked me personally why I don't want to be a stay-at-home mother. So I told him the reason, which had to do with my dad and stepmom, and he apologized to me saying that he never meant to do that to her. He was very abusive to her. At one point I saw him choke her and screamed, and he let her go but never apologized about it. So I decided to cut off my sister and her boyfriend, which sucked because I won't be able to see my niece and nephews anymore. But my mental health and my physical health is so much more important to me. OP said in the comments, there's one more thing that was said that I forgot to mention. So in my last post about this, there were so many people telling me to ask him when he's going to marry my sister, since they're not living in God's plan. So I asked him. His response, it's not my business to know, which I then said, it's not his business to know anything about what I want to do with my body and who I date and all of that. He got angry at me and then proceeded to cuss me out. I just laughed. Wow, so it's not your business to know anything about him, but he's got the audacity to ask everything about you? What is your sister doing with this guy, OP? The second top comment says, your sister is with a man that's able to get into a fist fight with her father. The comment below that says, not a man that you want to burn bridges for. The comment below that one says, he wants to pimp you off to his friend, and then they want to shape you into a woman they can control. He's a walking red flag, and I have no doubt that his friend would be as well. Moving on to post number 5. This one that we're going to read is on entitled people. What does New Year have to do with you getting to cut the line? I went to the provincial service office because my license plate is peeling. There was a line up about 20 people long. It does move pretty quick on most days. This entitled woman walks in, leans against the rope and demands to have multiple questions answered about getting a birth certificate. The agent at the desk stops serving people to answer her questions. She then leaves and then turns around in the entryway and then realizes she didn't get her parking validated. She comes back in and proceeds to the rope again. I'm having a bit of a day because of my mother's cancer treatment, and I'm feeling tired of entitled people. I spoke up and I said in a gentle voice, I think you'll have to wait in line like everybody else. She replied that she's on a time crunch and just had a question. I said, yeah, this is the reception line. We all have a quick question. You have to wait. She then said repeatedly, well, Happy New Year. So I feel a little bad for speaking up, but I'm just so tired of these people talking about the younger generations being entitled and then pulling crap like this. The top comment says, good for you to speak up. Don't feel bad at all. So many kudos to you. It's the only thing that'll hopefully get people to realize their actions are not socially acceptable and they are not more special than the rest of us. And OP said, as she walked out the door without her parking validated, I said, that's pure entitlement right there. Yeah, like, oh, I don't have to wait like everybody else does. So entitled. And yeah, what does the new year have to do with this? Nothing. This comment says, don't feel bad for speaking up. People like this need to be told no more often. Moving on to post number 6. This one's back on the Am I the A-hole subreddit. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother that I'm not babysitting his kids anymore after they ruined my New Year's plans? Whenever my brother 27 male needs help, I take care of his 2 kids, 4 female and 6 male. Even though I love my niece and my nephew, New Year's Eve was the last blow for me. My brother and his wife asked me to watch their kids while they went to a fancy New Year's party. Friends begged me to go with them even though I already had plans with other people. They said they couldn't find anybody else. It was even an offer to pay me twice what I normally get, so I reluctantly agreed. They were supposed to come back at 1 a.m. so I could still hang out with my friends. However, they did not show up at midnight. I texted, called, and even tried calling the party location, but nobody answered. They finally got in around 4 a.m. and it was obvious they were drunk. They pretended it wasn't a big deal. My brother laughed when I told him how upset I was that they'd left me all night and said, you didn't have anything important going on anyway. That hurt a lot. I told him they could no longer have me watch their kids if they couldn't respect my plans or time. It's making my brother mad and he says I'm being too tough. Am I the a-hole because you wouldn't watch after this? Yeah, the top comment, not the a-hole at all. You made plans with friends before you had to change them to help your brother out. It sounds like they take advantage of you always being there for them. This is a wake-up call people need. Your time is valuable, and if they can't respect that, then they need to find other accommodations. Yeah, for sure. The second top comment says, not the a-hole. They lied to you about when they would get back, knowing that you would miss your plans and wouldn't help if you knew. They clearly don't respect you or your plans. And the one below that one says, not the a-hole. Not only are they disrespectful of boundaries, they're also dismissive of you. They take you for granted and they feel entitled to dump their kids on you. Stick to your guns and say no more. Yeah, the fact that they said they'd be back at 1 a.m. so OP could still hang out with their friends, but they didn't show up until like 4 in the morning, which then meant that OP couldn't even do anything that night. And the brother laughing and saying you didn't have anything important going on anyway. Like the audacity. This comment says, not the a-hole. You are being taken advantage of. So you've got every right to stop. Okay, moving on to post number 7. This one's also on Am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole? My wife is super pissed off. I've been married for 5 years with my wife, who I met nearly 10 years ago. The thing is, she loves traveling a lot, and she loves traveling on the date of her birthday. Last year we went to Brazil and we had a great time. In May we spent a month in Europe where we visited some Greek islands, Athens, a bunch of Spanish cities, and Paris. Her birthday's in a few days and we had some long talks about traveling. Europe left us in debt and some health issues left us with almost no savings. Also, we want to have children this year and we need some medical assistance for that. That also costs money. I told her that maybe this year we can't afford to travel anywhere. She didn't like it, but she agreed. But it turns out a few days ago she snapped. She's now super angry because she's staying home for her birthday. That it doesn't matter what we discussed. She never said that she doesn't want to travel and that me as her husband should know what she wants for her birthday and should have known that she wanted to travel either way and surprised her with some tickets. I really don't know how to diffuse the situation. I offered to buy some last minute tickets, but now she doesn't want to because she said that I'd only be doing it because she forced me. Am I an a-hole? The top comment says, not the a-hole. How does she propose finding the money to travel? Also, maybe you don't have the money right now for month-long vacations thousands of kilometers away, but maybe if you have the money you could talk about traveling a few days in your country or the country next to yours. This comment says, does your wife work? And OP has a comment that says, we both work as freelancers and we make roughly the same money, $1,000 a month approximately. OP responded to the first comment that said, how does she propose finding the money to travel? And OP said, credit card, and we'll manage to pay it the next month. We're from Argentina, so basically Brazil is next to us, but that doesn't make it any cheaper. Also, she hates the beaches here. She says the water is too cold, which is true, but still. No, you're not the a-hole, OP. Your wife sounds so childish. What, you're meant to put all of this on a credit card? No, don't do that. It's not right that she tries to force you to do this when it's not even realistic that you can do it. You said yourself, OP, that you've pretty much got no money. Putting it on a credit card's not the answer. And also, what did it say at the end of the post? I offered to buy some last minute tickets anywhere, but now she doesn't want to because she said that I'm only doing it because she forced me. You are so not the a-hole. Okay, moving on to post number 8. This one's on Am I the a-hole too? Am I the a-hole for telling my girlfriend that her friend is too ugly for my friend? I, 29 male, have been with my girlfriend, 28 female, for the past 8 months, and it's been amazing. I've met her friends and I really like them all, and she's met my friends and they got along great. We were all hanging out together for the first time this weekend. The issue is that my girlfriend has told one of her friends, let's call her Sue, that she thinks she would be perfect for one of my friends. Let's call him Mike. She's told her this multiple times, shown her pictures of him and gotten her excited about it. My problem with this is that I don't think they're a good match at all. Mike is a very good looking guy in great shape, 6'2", he's a lawyer, he's always dated very conventionally attractive women. Sue's great and I really like her, but she's not very conventionally attractive. She's overweight and doesn't put much effort into her appearance. My girlfriend has mentioned this potential match to me a few times, and I've always just kind of brushed it off with a we'll see, or you never know, hoping that it would fizzle out. But after we made plans to all hang out and after I found out she's been telling Sue about it, I felt like I had to say something to her. I didn't want Sue to get her feelings hurt, and I didn't want to put Mike in an awkward situation. I told my girlfriend that I think she should not try to set them up together, and to just leave it alone. And if something does happen between them, great, but not to push it. When she asked me why, I said I just don't think they're a comparable match looks-wise, and that I think Sue would get her feelings hurt. I said I don't think they're a great match personality-wise either, since he's super active and she's much more of a homebody. This caused a big fight, our first real fight, where she accused me of thinking that my friends were better than her friends, asking me who else I thought was ugly. I was only trying to avoid an awkward situation, but I might have made it worse. Should I have just kept my mouth shut and let it happen? Okay, the top comment says everybody sucks here. I told my girlfriend I think she should not try to set them up together and to leave them alone. And if something happens between them, great, but not to push it. When she asked me why, I said I just don't think they're a comparable match. And that's where you should have ended that final statement. The second top comment says everybody sucks here. Nobody should be setting anybody up. Your girlfriend needs to stop interfering, but it's not necessary for you to police who might find who attractive either. The top comment below that one says, dude, of course you should have kept your mouth shut. In what world would that have gone over well? None. You need to warn Mike about what your girlfriend has in store for him, and then keep your mouth shut about it. Avoid the topic, period. The one below that one says everybody sucks. Your girlfriend shouldn't be trying to force a match, but you also don't have the right to decide if Sue isn't good enough for your friend. Let people handle their own feelings. She's an adult and can deal with any crush disappointment herself. You're overstepping too. No need to protect anybody here. Yeah, so from what I'm seeing here, the consensus is everybody sucks. There are lots of you the a-hole comments as well. And also, if you scroll down a bit in the comments, there are a lot of not the a-hole comments too. Yeah, I feel like one of those top comments is pretty spot on. The one that says everybody sucks, nobody should be setting anybody up, your girlfriend needs to stop interfering, and it's not necessary for you to police who might find who attractive either. Okay, the next one that we're going to read is story number 9. Also, once again on Am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for not letting my sister wear my favorite dress on her date? I, 19 female, have this dress that I love so much. I'd been saving money for months to buy this deep green satin slip dress. There's nothing fancy about it, but it's important to me because I wore it for a school formal and I finally felt good about myself. I call it my magic dress because it makes me feel good every time I wear it. My older sister, 24 female, just started going out with somebody new. She found the dress while she was over at my house a few nights ago, going through my closet. She asked me right away if she could use it for her date. I wasn't sure because I do trust her, but she's not very good with clothes. When I told her about the time she sent stuff back with spots or small tears, she shrugged and said, "Clothes are meant to be worn, not babied." I told her no, telling her how much the dress meant to me and why I didn't want to give it to her. She got very angry and told me that I was being a child and selfish. She said that it shouldn't matter if she rented it because I wasn't going to wear it for the week. She stormed off and then later texted me to say that I made her feel like I didn't trust her and that I cared more about a piece of fabric than her feelings. Even my mum called and told me to say sorry to keep the peace. At the same time, I feel bad because I do see her point of view. She just wanted to enjoy her date. I mean, it's not just a piece of fabric to me, but am I a jerk for standing my ground? No, you're not the a-hole OP like this comment says. If you're not allowed to say no, it's a demand, not an ask. Not the a-hole. The top comment says not the a-hole. This one's pretty clear cut. Clothes are meant to be worn and not babied. Yeah, this is an attitude that she can take with her own clothes. She can't insist on implying her attitude to your clothes, on top of insisting that you must let her borrow them against your wishes. You were justified in saying no anyway, simply because you love the dress and you want to keep it for yourself as your special dress. Her crappy attitude is just a dung-covered cherry on top. Why would you lend your special dress to this entitled brat? It's one thing to empathize with your sister's desire to have a good date, but she has no consideration for you or the dress and just sees it as a fun consumable. She won't give a single or a single dollar in compensation if she returns it to you irreparably damaged. She only cares about herself. She's already told you that the dress means nothing to her beyond her desire to wear it for a night. The second top comment says she's 5 years older than you, is the one that had a fit and told your mum, yet has the audacity to call you childish. Not the a-hole. Don't give in to the guilt trip. You have every right not want to loan out your belongings. She's a big girl. She can buy her own and realize how expensive it is to replace them often because she doesn't take care of them. If she's mad at you, that's her problem, not a you problem. Okay, moving on to post number 10. This one that we're going to read is on entitled people. Entitled passenger almost gets denied boarding on a plane. On the 30th of December, I found myself on a Ryanair flight to the UK from a European country. We were the last flight of the day departing that airport and also nearly an hour late. At the gate, we had 2 agents and a supervisor. For those of you who don't know about Ryanair, it's a low-cost airline where the basic price gets you a seat and a small bag that needs to fit under the seat in front of you. Anything else will be extra, including priority boarding. You get a second bag and board before everybody else so that you can use the overhead lockers, and the rules get enforced fairly well. So they run 2 queues, a priority one and a normal one, which tends to be packed before the gate even opens for folks who need extra storage space. I travel light and I tend to only board at the very end, so I was able to witness the drama. Our entitled passenger EP was in the priority queue with her boyfriend and his mum. They arrive at the gate, boyfriend and mum scan through, EP's ticket gets rejected. Turns out that she hasn't booked priority and just chanced that she'd get through with her partner. The agent tells her that he can't let her through and that she needs to go to the normal queue. She starts arguing with him. The supervisor steps in and says the same, and after some back and forth, EP goes and stands at the front of the normal queue. The supervisor tells her that she can't cut the queue and needs to go to the back of the normal queue. She argues some more with the supervisor, who stands her ground, and EP eventually storms off to the back. Most people would call it a lesson and move on. Not EP, she's raging. She eventually gets back to the gate. Her boyfriend very kindly is waiting for her just after the gate and decides that she needs to tell the gate agent how unfair this all is and how entitled she was to go priority and or cut the queue. So she does, raises her voice at the guy scanning her boarding pass and all. Supervisor steps in immediately, takes her aside and tries to have a conversation with her. EP's having none of it. Voice is still raised and she's arguing her case. Her boyfriend has come back and is trying to calm her down and make her stop so they can get on the plane. Now while the passengers who haven't boarded yet are watching, the supervisor calmly walks EP to the side of the gate, gets her to step out of the barrier and then tells her that she's not allowed to board the plane. It takes her a second to realize what happened and then she starts screaming. But suddenly she's sorry. She's now saying it's a misunderstanding because she doesn't speak very good English, that she didn't mean it, that she's very sorry and will calm down if she is allowed on board, and pretty much repeats that over and over again. Her boyfriend is still trying to get her to calm down. She won't stop screaming at the supervisor. The supervisor kind of gives in and tells EP that when boarding is complete, she will phone the captain, discuss with him and see if he'll allow EP on board. That should calm her down, but it doesn't. She's still yelling and and begging and pleading. I'm now on the tarmac waiting to get on the plane, and with maybe another 15 passengers, we're all looking back to see if EP and boyfriend are gonna appear through the doors. We're invested. We board the slowest that we've ever boarded just to make sure that we see what happens next. Will the captain give her a chance the day before New Year and let her board? Will he tell her to get lost? She appears. She made it. Except now she's arguing with her boyfriend about it. She still thinks that she's in the right. He's still trying to make her stop and calm down. He looks like he's used to her and yet tired of it. She gets past my seat still arguing with him. He's sitting next to his mum. EP is elsewhere. You have to pay extra to seat together. Boyfriend and mum are the row in front of my husband. When he sits down, he tells his mum she just wouldn't drop it. She nearly didn't get on the plane and she still wouldn't drop it. Oh, that's so frustrating. But like you said, OP, how you were invested in it. It's so frustrating and it's so annoying, but at the same time, you can't look away. Okay, moving on to story 11. This one that we're going to read is back on Am I the A-hole? Am I the A-hole for ruining the Christmas dinner by refusing to cook? We flew across the US to spend Christmas with my mother-in-law and brother-in-law's family. It's been an insanely chaotic year with a toddler and starting a new business. We even booked the trip last minute because we were so unsure on if we'd even be up for traveling after such a busy year. For some background, mother-in-law is very authoritarian and flies off the handle relatively easily, which results in her kids and people sort of walking on eggshells around her, and has ruined her fair share of Christmases in the past. Anyway, leading up to the trip, she decides that she wants me to cook Peking duck for Christmas dinner at her house. She never asked me if I wanted to. She just tells me after she purchased it. Whatever, not a big deal. So she plans her elaborate dinner and it involves myself and my wife cooking multiple dishes. We get to her house first, so it's my wife, our toddler, myself, and mother-in-law. She's in great spirits and welcomes us in. We start chatting and cooking. For one of the meals that she asked my wife to cook, it turns out mother-in-law bought the wrong thing. My wife laughs it off and said that we'll try to make it work. Mother-in-law retorts along the lines of, well, the show must go on, so it's okay if you don't make it. My wife decides to give it a try anyway. During this process, my other brother-in-law calls. We chat for 10 minutes or so, and at one point I went outside on the porch to sit and catch up with him. When I get back inside, he asked to talk to my wife, his sister, and then asked what she's cooking. I pan the camera to the pot on the stove, and he chuckles and asks her what she's making. Due to the obviously incorrect ingredients that mother-in-law bought, we all chuckle lightheartedly, and she immediately loses her crap, ranting about the fact that she already said that it wasn't a big deal, so why are we even discussing it? She then starts cursing and shouting at my wife, asking her why it was necessary to involve her brother. She then tried to insinuate very indirectly that I must have been a part of it too. Moments later, brother-in-law number 2 walks in with his family, and she tells them that she's pissed, but does calm down significantly. A couple of hours later, I told her I'm not cooking anything today. She tried to gaslight me by saying that her anger was directed towards her daughter and not me. She continued that if I felt like it had anything to do with me, it must be due to my guilty conscience and that my response was overblown. I still refused to make it, which resulted in her spending 3 extra hours in the kitchen. So am I the a-hole? The top comment says not the a-hole, but I'm a bit confused. Did your mother-in-law buy an uncooked duck that couldn't be used to make Peking duck? And why does your wife feel like she has to go along with her mother, especially when she's making crazy demands? I'm guessing her mother always forced her kids to be submissive to her. If you agree to have guests over for a special meal and you don't want to cook, you don't force others to make the meal. You can ask your guests to bring a side dish that you know they can make or give them the choice what to bring. If you have somebody who loves to cook and has offered to do so, then fine. But you don't volunteer others to make food for a group. If you don't want to cook, host the gathering at a restaurant or get takeout. If you do live in a big enough city, there are restaurants that will provide catering for holidays. The comment below that one says not the a-hole for not making a dish that you never agreed to. I also find it weird when people want other people to cook in their kitchens. That might be a me thing though. Also, usually the host is responsible for the main course. It's even more weird that she expected you to cook the main course in her kitchen after traveling across the country. If you're a guest, bring a side dish or an appetizer, drinks or games and desserts. Also, I can't cook under pressure, like taking a test. If somebody's looking over my shoulder making me nervous, I can't perform. Mother-in-law would make me nervous. You'd end up with brine duck, not Peking duck. Yeah, like this comment says, not the a-hole. Don't waste another holiday with people who make you miserable. Life is short. Spend your time with those who appreciate you. I used to hate spending Christmas with my parents. I honestly thought that I hated Christmas. Then I got fed up with the stress and anxiety that it brought me every year. Why do we do this to ourselves? We now spend Christmas at home with the kids every year. No traveling, no packing, just the family and food. And I actually don't mind Christmas anymore. Yeah, for sure. Okay, moving on to post number 12. Also on Am I the A-hole? Am I the a-hole for telling my mum that she will not be walking me down the aisle? My boyfriend and I have finally taken the next step, and we've begun talking and planning out our wedding. We're not engaged yet, but it is planned. We're just waiting due to money. I have started gathering names to add to the guest list, as well as sorting out my bridal party and also my preferences and wishes, and this includes who's going to be walking me down the aisle. I don't want the traditional father of the bride hands his daughter away, but I want both of my parents to walk down beside me, as they've done a lot for me. Here's the thing though, I'm adopted. My biological mum did not raise me, nor did she contribute to any of my upbringing in any way. She actually ignored me for most of her life and was not committed to attending any milestones, high school or college graduation, birthdays or anything. Recently, in the last 2 years, she's become a pretty frequent person in my life. We have resolved most differences and we did move forward. She's even living with me at the moment. I've made the decision that she will be invited to the wedding and will be at the family table at the reception, but she will not be walking me down the aisle. I want my adoptive parents to do that since they raised me since I was 7 and actually have been present and supportive in my life. I explained this to my biological mum and she flipped out, started crying and became super guilt tripping. Am I the a-hole for this? Absolutely not. Not at all, OP. Your biological mum should understand. This comment says not the a-hole. Your biological mum didn't raise you. End of story. You've got parents. Your situation might be a bit more complicated in that your biological mum does have a presence in your life and you do value her, but it's relatively new and it doesn't suddenly flip a switch and make your entire upbringing disappear. Honestly, this expectation and certainly her response has me doubting that she's a healthy presence in your life, especially to be living with you. What would she expect your adoptive parents' roles to be? Start with a firm conversation with her in which you instruct her to stop complaining, stop the whining, stop the guilt tripping, because you don't need to tolerate this from her. She sounds manipulative AF. Please tread carefully with what you allow her to do in your life. You're giving her a lot of access for somebody that you've only grown close to over the last few years, given the broader history. Yeah, for sure, your biological mum is so lucky that she even gets to go to the wedding, but she doesn't understand that you want your adoptive parents to walk you down the aisle. This comment says not the a-hole. Your biological mother isn't your mother. She didn't raise you. She didn't attend your life milestones, so it's appropriate that you do want to be walked down the aisle by the people who raised you. What makes your biological mother the a-hole is the fact that she's prepared to guilt trip you about this. That's totally out of order. The nuclear option to the guilt tripping is to play the reverse Uno card and do your own bit of guilt tripping by fully explaining to her why you're doing what you are. Yeah, the audacity of the biological mum. That is so wild. Okay, moving on to post number 13. This one's on Am I the A-hole too? And the story that's in the thumbnail. Am I the a-hole for cancelling my wedding over a family heirloom ring? So here's the deal. I proposed to my fiance with my grandmother's ring, which is not only gorgeous, but it also has an immense sentimental value. My fiance loved it, or so I thought. A few days after the proposal, she asked me if we could get the diamond replaced. She felt the current one wasn't shiny enough for her taste. I was taken aback because she knew the history behind the ring and how much it meant to me. I explained that changing the diamond would upset my family, especially since the ring was worn by my grandmother and my mother. I suggested that we keep the heirloom as it is for special occasions, and I offered to buy a new, more modern ring for everyday wear. However, my fiance insisted on altering the heirloom ring, saying that it was her ring now and it should reflect her style. I felt this disregarded my feelings and the ring's history, so I told her if she insisted on changing the heirloom ring, I'd have to reconsider our relationship since it seems like a reflection of our differing values. That led to a huge argument, and I ended up cancelling the wedding plans until we can resolve it. Reddit, am I the a-hole for putting my foot down over the ring and potentially ending my engagement over it? The top comment says not the a-hole. You got the ring back, right? The one below that says not the a-hole. You offered a compromise which she refused. She showed her selfishness and lack of care and concern for the heirloom's importance. Very interesting post. The consensus on here is definitely not the a-hole. Pretty much all the top comments are not the a-hole. But also there are everybody sucks here comments. There are you the a-hole comments. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. And now we're moving on to story 14. I don't think I've ever read this many stories in an episode. Am I the a-hole for letting my friend cancel her plane ticket after we argued about her bringing her new boyfriend on our girls trip? So my best friend and I have been planning a girls trip to Barcelona for months. We've always talked about doing this, and it was something we were both really excited about. The plan was simple, just the two of us, catching up, exploring the city, and enjoying some time together. But about 2 weeks before our flight, she started seeing somebody new. I didn't know him very well, but she was constantly talking about him, and it was obvious that she was really into him. Then she told me that she was thinking about inviting him to come along with us on the trip. I didn't think much of it at first, but she kept on pushing the idea, and I got uncomfortable. This was supposed to be a girls trip, and I honestly didn't want a third person, especially her boyfriend tagging along. I tried to be understanding, but I told her I was really looking forward to some quality time with her, just the two of us. She got upset and said that I was being unreasonable, that I should be happy that she found somebody special, and that I was making a big deal out of nothing. I felt like I was not being unreasonable though. This was supposed to be our time, and I didn't want the dynamic to shift, and it absolutely would, OP. The argument went back and forth for a couple of days. I kept on telling her that I was looking forward to our plans, just the two of us, and she kept on insisting that her boyfriend could just come for a couple of days of it, and it wouldn't be a big deal. I didn't didn't agree, and eventually she said that if I wasn't okay with it, she'd just cancel the whole trip. I thought she was bluffing, but she actually went ahead and cancelled her ticket. She told me that if I wasn't going to let her bring her boyfriend, she wasn't going at all. I didn't want to lose my best friend over this, but I also felt like I was in the right to want some alone time with her, especially since this was something that we'd planned for so long. Now I feel guilty, but also frustrated. I didn't want the trip to fall apart, but I also don't think I was wrong for wanting it to be just the two of us. Was I out of line, or is she being too dramatic? Am I the a-hole? No, OP, you're not the a-hole. And where you said how you don't want the dynamic to shift, it would absolutely shift if the boyfriend came. You'd be third wheeling the whole time. You two have wanted to do this for ages, and now your friend wants to add in a boyfriend, and you're the a-hole because that's not what you signed up for, and you're not happy about that? Yeah, the top comment, not the a-hole. 2 weeks is barely a relationship. It's more like dating. Does she often throw herself into guys like this? You're not the a-hole for wanting to keep your original plans. The comment below that says, why would OP want a third wheel on her own planned vacation? That's so stupid of her friend to expect. Like, okay, you got a new boyfriend, but this is your best friend that you planned a girls trip with. I hate people who contort themselves into different people as soon as they get into a relationship or start dating. After 2 weeks, get the hell out of here. OP's friend is cooking a meal of audacity, served with a side of entitlement, and it's gross. Okay, moving on to story 15. Also, I took all of these videos of the cats today. It's been so hot today too, so they've been sleeping so much, and they're so cute. Am I the a-hole for making my mother cry after telling her what I thought of my stepfather? I, 28 female, have never liked my stepfather, 60 something. They got married when I was already 18. He's the type of privileged guy who looks down on wait staff and thinks refugees should just work harder if they want to make it. Typical entitled prick. Since the beginning, he's never made any effort to get to know me. Despite that, sometimes he'd try and jokingly roast me, the way that my siblings do to each other. But we do that because we're close. But he seriously never even done as much as ask me how my day went, so I don't know why he'd do that. I am close to my mother, so I'm largely civil. Sometimes I roll my eyes in his face though. I hate him. I live abroad, but I happen to be home for the holidays this year. I was talking to my mother and she randomly mentioned that her and my stepfather can't wait to be grandparents. I asked if he had any kids I didn't know about. She looked confused and says, no, the baby that you'll one day have. I stared at her for a bit and I asked her if she was serious. She said, it's not that he's trying to replace your father as a grandfather, but it would be nice to acknowledge him as a grandfather, especially after everything he's done for us. It's not easy to marry a single mother of 4. I should add here that my father's still around and pays 50% of the expenses for my younger siblings, and my mother makes good money, so it's not about money. I've never received a dime from the man. I lost it. I told her if she wants to acknowledge that, it's fine, but she should get him a best husband card because he's never been anything even like a father to me or even a friend. I told her that I'm in therapy because of the situation, of them trying to make him my new father, because he hasn't tried to bond with me at all. I didn't understand why he thought it was okay to banter with me, even though he was a stranger to me, and it was starting to cut deep that my refusal to accept him as a parent was pushing myself and my mother apart. I learned in therapy that it was the responsibility of her and my stepfather to try to build a bond, but they didn't make any effort to start a relationship. Relationships may go both ways, but I was the teenager in the situation, a teenager who already had a father and didn't want another. I told her that I don't like people who don't have empathy for refugees and people struggling economically, and he's never done anything positive to improve my view on him. So over my dead body will he be considered the grandparent of my future child? I blew up because it's been over 10 years of her trying to make me see him as another parent when I have a perfectly good father, and it was difficult for me to see my once close relationship with my mother dwindle as a result. She cried and my stepfather is avoiding me and it's kind of awkward, but all of my siblings agree with me, with one saying that I should have kept it to myself to keep the peace, laughing my ass off. But this isn't the first time that I've expressed discomfort about his actions and the step-parent relationship being forced onto me. For an example of the roasting I'm talking about, I'd be at the dinner table trying to do a Wordle or something. He would walk past out of nowhere and say, "Why are you playing Wordle?" I thought that was only for people who liked using their brains, and then he'd laugh and walk off. Like, if that was my brother, I might laugh, but again, we're not close. Am I the a-hole? No, not the a-hole, OP. The top comment says, not the a-hole. Your mother cannot force you to see your stepfather as a future grandfather of your children, who, by the way, you have not had, especially when you have no appreciation for him, and he's also an idiot for his comments about refugees and his treatment of waiters. The comment below that one says, he's not a stepfather, he's her mother's husband. OP was an adult when they married, and he has since done nothing to develop a relationship on pretty much any basis, except as a part-time bully. Where in the world is this grandfather thing even coming from? And also, don't get me started on the keeping the peace comment. What peace are you trying to keep? OP does not have peace in this situation. For OP, all of this has caused so many issues. Yeah, not the a-hole, and like that comment said, he's not a stepfather. He's her mother's husband. The comment below those ones says, not the a-hole. I was in the same boat as you. Father remarried about a year after my mother died. His wife is someone that I just don't like as a person, and she's never really made any effort. The shocked Pikachu faces when I informed them that she would not be grandma were hysterical to me. The assumption was absolutely astounding. A few siblings stupidly volunteered their opinions, but that was shut down immediately. They no longer offer their opinions. My father's wife is simply that, and life went on as normal. Okay, and moving on to story number 16. And this one will be the last one for today. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad it hurt my feelings that he's a better dad now that he's a stepdad, and wouldn't do it for me? My parents got divorced when I, 17 male, was 7. My dad was never the best dad or the worst dad. He wasn't a monster or neglectful, but he never made time for me. When he wasn't working, he'd be doing chores and stuff at home, and he mainly left me to do whatever I wanted. If I asked him to hang out with me, he'd say later, and later never came, or he was too busy and maybe another time, but the other time never came. He'd encourage me to do as many extracurriculars as I wanted to, and he hired a babysitter to take me to and from those after school. He went to parent conferences with my mum, but I don't remember him being at very many school plays or sports games. The few times he showed up, he'd be gone before it was over, and wouldn't even mention it. And sometimes he'd be so distracted that he'd ignored the questions I'd even asked him. It always made me sad, and I asked him to spend time together pretty often. When I found out he was dating somebody, it was a surprise. But then it hurt me again because I found out he was spending time with her and her kids and bonding with them. He did eventually include me into that for a few months before they moved in together, but I was pretty devastated, not gonna lie. I saw him be such a different person, and since they got married, he's become a way better dad. But it started with them, and it hurts and makes me angry too. I don't want them to have better than me. I hate that they get better from my own dad than I did, until they came along. He's taken more of an interest in me, but I pulled away and I reject a lot of his attempts. He takes us all out to do stuff, and when I see how much time he spent with them, and the bond he built with them, it makes me want to tell them all to f*** off. His wife has called me out for not being warmer to her kids, and trying to get to know them like they've tried to get to know me. My dad has set up a rotation for different things with different kids, and I'm not included in it, but it doesn't feel like enough when I have to watch him include them, when they got this stuff before me. He sat me down a few weeks ago and told me that he felt like I was unhappy, and he wanted us to talk. He said that his wife told him that when I'm here, I don't interact with her or the kids, and I come across as being angry at her kids, and a few times I walked away, but it seemed like I was going to be mean. He asked me what was up, and I told him exactly how I felt. I told him it hurts me to see him be this great of a dad because he met them and became a stepdad, but he wouldn't do it for me. I told him that it pissed me off bad. I told him, where was that dad for me? And why did he give them the dad that he is now first? Why them? Why not his own kid? I told him they're not his real kids. They're not the kid who wanted so badly for him to spend time with him. I am. I told him I deserved it, not them. They were just his wife's kids. I pointed out how often I tried to spend time with him before he met her, and how he'd brush me off, or how little he showed up and took an interest. I asked him how I was meant to be happy that he was trying now, when they got it first, when they started it, not me. I told him that I couldn't be glad for them. He told me he was sorry, and he started to get upset, and he said that he didn't really reflect how he should have on his failings, and he said that he heard everything that I said, and he was so sorry that he wasn't better. He told me that he wanted the chance to make it up to me, but he couldn't just ignore them now either, and to do better for real, he needed to give me one-on-one time, but he also needed to still keep spending time with them. He asked me if I was okay with it. I said no. I told him I wanted him to ignore them and only care about me, but I know that's not fair. It just doesn't seem fair that they got this better version first. I told him it kills me to see it. We have talked some more, and we agreed it would be better if I live with mum, and he takes time with me, and he's doing that. But after Christmas, his wife reached out and she told me she heard everything I said, and how unfair it was to punish her kids with what I said when they're not responsible. She said that I made my dad feel so guilty too, and how that wasn't fair when I should just enjoy the fact that he's doing better. Am I the a-hole? No, like the top comment says, not the a-hole, but his wife is a total a-hole for calling you to complain about a conversation that she had no place in, and trying to guilt you into trying to be a sibling to her children. The second top comment says, not the a-hole, your dad's wife is though. She really needs to stay in her lane and mind her own business. Let your dad know what she said, and tell him that you don't appreciate her knowing your business. If your dad really wants a good relationship with you, he needs to do better. The one below that says his wife is the a-hole for butting in on your relationship with your father. Be careful, she may try to manipulate the situation to put further strain on your relationship. Yeah, and that's enough for today. I've got some really cute wholesome memes to show you before we go. Me as a wife annoying my husband until the end of time. Oh, that's so cute. I love that so much. It's so cute to see any couple that really loves each other a lot, but old couples are like extra cute. Fun drinking game. Take a shot of water every couple of hours to make sure that you're healthy and hydrated. That's also so cute. The best drinking game. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope you had a wonderful time today. That was such a roller coaster ride of a video, and let me know down below in the the comments what you thought. And thank you for the support, guys. I really, really appreciate it. And the comment of the day goes to Noel Rebel. Your videos are such good background noise when I'm gaming or getting into cosplay. Thank you for making great content. I always get happy seeing a new video. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I love making the videos and I'm so happy that you guys enjoy watching the videos. And thank you for supporting me. That's so awesome. There's a lot more videos to come. Don't you worry. Okay, I'm out of here. Make sure you look after yourself, everybody. And make sure you have a beautiful, amazing rest of your day. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye!